She was the most admired girl in Umuofia, destined for a great marriage. Every suitor who looked upon the village beauty saw not a wife, but a terrifying masquerade. Find out what happens in this epic tale of Omalicha.
Do not let their drums steal your peace, my love. Why does it hurt more to see joy than to bear my own silence? Udo, she is not more than me. You are everything. You are the light of this house. Those boys, their eyes are shallow riverbed. They see a reflection and fear its depth. They do not deserve to drink from your well.
In the great village of Umuofia, there lived a maiden whose name was a song on every lip, Omalicha. From the moment she could walk, it was clear she was a child of Chukwu's special grace. Her skin was the color of freshly pressed palm oil, smooth and glowing as if lit from within. She grew tall and straight like the royal palm, with curves as gentle and commanding as the slopes of the Udi hills. But her beauty was not merely of form. Her mind was sharp, quickly mastering the stories of the ancestors and the complex patterns of the market, and her respect for elders was so profound she would kneel until her knees touched the earth when greeting them. The women of Umuofia would sigh as she passed, her wrapper swaying with a rhythm all its own. See her, they would murmur, a living Agbogo Muo, a maiden spirit come to earth. The children she will bear, they will be chiefs and priestesses. Her mother, Hajara, a woman of sharp features and a history of sorrow, would swell with a painful pride. For Hajara had buried 4 sons before their naming ceremonies. Omalicha was her sole, miraculous surviving child, the treasure that had not crumbled to dust in her hands. The father, a quiet woodcarver, had gone to join the ancestors when Omalicha was but 5, leaving Hajara's world to orbit this one radiant star. As the season of the new yam came and went, Omalicha reached the age for marriage. Drums should have sounded at her father's compound, and suitors should have lined the path like proud roosters. Yet, a strange silence fell. Young men who had boasted in the obi of winning her heart would find their courage drain away when they approached her. A handsome hunter named Dyke, who had slain a leopard, came with gifts. As he sat before Omalicha, trying to speak of his exploits, his words died in his throat. He later confided to his friend, "It was not her beauty that frightened me, it was something else." A shadow passed over her face, like thorns growing from beneath her skin. "I saw a spirit, not a wife." The pattern repeated. A prosperous trader from Aba saw her at the market and was entranced. He followed her home to declare his intentions, but as Omalicha turned to offer him a kola nut, he stumbled back, dropping his gifts, muttering about a sudden fever. Soon, whispers began, not of her beauty, but of a curse. Her friends, girls with less striking features but kind smiles, were one by one taken to their husbands' homes amidst celebration. Omalicha, who helped plait their hair and sang their praise songs, returned each time to her mother's hut, the emptiness growing louder. At night, she would gaze into her bronze mirror, gifted by her father, seeing only the perfect features that seemed to mock her. "What is wrong with me, Ninem?" she would ask her mother. Hajara would stroke her hair, her eyes clouded with a secret anguish. "Nothing, my daughter. They are not worthy of you. Their eyes are weak." A week later, the drums of Udo's wedding were a celebration for Umuofia, but for Omalicha, they felt like a slow, public mourning. She danced, her smile a masterpiece of willpower, her body moving with a grace that made the elders nod. "See how she shines. She outshines the bride herself," they whispered. Omalicha heard it, and the compliment curdled into a poison. She was a spectacle of beauty at another woman's happiness, a living ornament to her own failure. The walk home in the purple dusk was a silent, solitary procession. The echoes of laughter and the distant equal rhythm seemed to chase her, mocking her empty hands, her unclaimed heart. She slipped into her hut, the darkness a merciful shroud. Then, the dam broke. The performed joy, the swallowed congratulations, the imagined futures of Udo that would never be hers, it all erupted in silent, wrenching sobs that bent her tall frame double on her sleeping mat. She muffled her cries in her wrapper, the expensive cloth now soaked with the salt of her despair. The raffia curtain rustled. A sliver of firelight cut across the dark floor, followed by her mother's slender silhouette. Hajara did not speak. She simply knelt, gathering her magnificent, broken daughter into her arms. Her touch was featherlight, her own body trembling. "Do not cry, my precious one," Hajara whispered, her voice thick with a secret agony far deeper than her daughter's. She rocked Omalicha gently, her fingers stroking the elaborate braids. "Their eyes are weak, they are blind to your worth. You are mine, my perfect child. You are safe here." Every word was a lie woven from desperate love, and hearing them only made Omalicha cry harder, a confused child seeking comfort in the very arms that had built her prison. Hajara held her, whispering sweet nothings, her own tears falling silently into Omalicha's hair. Tears of a love so twisted it had become a curse, and of a guilt so immense it was a stone on her soul. In that dark hut, the victim mourned her loneliness, and the architect mourned her sin, both bound together in a. One scorching afternoon, during the season of harmattan dust, Omalicha went to the Thriobodo stream to fetch water. The path was quiet. There, she saw an old woman, so ancient she seemed carved from the very bark of the ogbu tree. The woman, bent double, was struggling to lift a heavy, porous clay pot from the water's edge. Her breaths were ragged whispers. Without a second thought, Omalicha placed her own pot down. "Nemoma, let me help you," she said, kneeling. She lifted the heavy pot onto the old woman's head with ease, then balanced her own pot atop it. "Where is your hut, mother?" Beyond the second silk cotton tree, in the thinning forest where the old paths remember, the woman croaked. They walked slowly, Omalicha steadying the pots. The hut, when they reached it, was a small, neat structure hidden by ugbu vines. Inside, it smelled of herbs and dry earth. As Omalicha set the water down, the old woman fixed her with eyes that were milky yet piercingly deep. "You are the one they call Omalicha, the beautiful one whom men fear." Tears, long held back, sprang to Omalicha's eyes. "I do not know why, mother. I wish only to be a good wife, to build a home." The old woman nodded slowly. The eyes of desire see differently from the eyes of the heart. "You carry a burden you did not create." She reached into a raffia bag and pulled out an object wrapped in soft antelope skin. Unwrapping it, she revealed a mirror. But it was not of bronze or water. It was a flat, obsidian stone, polished to a deep, liquid blackness. "This is Okwa Etchish, the mirror of true shadow. Look into it, not at your light, but at the shadow that clings to you." Hesitant, Omalicha took the cool, heavy stone. She raised it to her face. At first, she saw only the familiar, heartbreaking beauty of her reflection. Then, as she stared, the image seemed to ripple. From the edges of the obsidian, a dark pattern crept inward like vines, thorny and intricate, weaving over her skin, covering her cheeks, her forehead, her lips. Her beautiful eyes now peered out from a cage of sharp, black brambles. It was the face of a forest spirit, terrifying and bound. A choked scream escaped her, and she nearly dropped the mirror. "The Ogbanj spirit does not wish to marry," the old woman said softly, but then shook her head. "No. This is not the work of a capricious Ogbanj. This is a human bond, a tether of fear. Go, child. Ask the one whose fear is greater than her love for your happiness. Ask your mother what was done to the face of her only child." A cold dread settled in Omalicha's stomach. She ran home, the obsidian mirror clutched to her chest like a wound. She found Hajara by the cooking fire, turning cassava. Without a word, Omalicha thrust the mirror toward her. "Look, Neen, what do you see on my face?" Hajara glanced, then looked away quickly, her face ashen. "I see my beautiful daughter. Look with truth." Omalicha cried, a rare anger born of pain in her voice. "An old mother at the forest's edge showed me. She said to ask you what you did to my face." The words hung in the smoky air. Hajara's shoulders, always so defiantly straight, crumpled. She seemed to shrink into the earth. A wail, raw and ancient, tore from her throat, a sound that brought neighbors to their thresholds. "I did it," she confessed, tears carving paths through the ash on her cheeks. "When your brothers left me, When your father joined the ancestors, you were all I had. The light in my dark hut. I saw you blossoming, and I saw the vultures, men who would come to take you away to their own villages, leaving me alone with the ghosts of my children. The fear ate my liver. I went to a dibia from a distant place, a man who dealt in bonds, not blessings. I gave him your birth cloth. He performed rites. He said he would place a guardian spirit upon you, a muo that would make any man who looked upon you with a husband's heart see only a terror, so they would flee, and you would stay with me, forever. She gasped for air, her confession a poison finally expelled. I called it protection. It was a prison. I bound you with my own loneliness. As she spoke the last word, a violent shudder passed through her. It was as if the spell, named and exposed, recoiled from Omalicha and snapped back onto the one who had woven it. Hajara clutched her chest, her eyes wide with the shock of seeing her own deed in its full, hideous light. She collapsed by the fire. By the time the village healer arrived, Hajara's spirit had fled to face the judgment of the ancestors. The mourning period was a storm of grief and revelation. Omalicha washed her mother's body herself, her tears mixing with the ceremonial water. As she anointed Hajara's forehead, she whispered, I forgive you, my mother. Your fear was your curse, but my love is free. Go in peace. The moment the words of forgiveness were uttered, a warmth spread from Omalicha's heart outward. In the privacy of her room, she dared to look once more into the obsidian mirror. The thorny vines were receding, drying up, turning to dust and falling away from her reflection until only her own flawless, radiant face remained. The spiritual mask was gone. News travels mysteriously in Igboland. Men did not speak of a change, but they felt it. The unconscious dread that had repelled them lifted. Within a season, a new kind of suitor came. He was Obina, a skilled blacksmith from neighboring Bano, known for his strong, quiet nature and his artistry with metal. He had heard of Omalicha's beauty and her kindness, but also of her sorrow. He came not with boastful proverbs, but with a simple question for her extended family. They say she has known great pain. Does she have room for a quiet joy? When he was brought to meet her, he looked directly into her eyes, and she saw no flicker of fear, only a deep, steady admiration. He saw not a spirit, but a woman of strength and grace who had endured. Omalicha smiled, a true, unfettered smile that lit the whole compound. Their wedding was the talk of two villages. As the drums beat and Omalicha danced, her beauty, now unshadowed, was a testament not just to Chukwu's grace, but to the power of truth and forgiveness. She became known not only as Omalicha the Beautiful, but as Omalicha the Wise, who understood that the most binding spells are cast not by magic, but by the human heart, and only love can break them.